Welcome to Samantha's Beauty Confessions, where we engage in authentic conversations and confess everything it takes to turn our dreams into a reality. Together, we'll unlock your unique beauty and guide you toward living the life of your dreams. Get ready to go beyond the highlight reel, embrace the journey, and grow together, one conversation at a time. Welcome back to Samantha's Beauty Confessions. Today's episode is part 2 of the Q&A segment that I started last week, and it is going to finish out all of the questions y'all asked me over the summer. So I am not going to do a long intro here. We're just going to get right into it. As I mentioned last week, if you're watching this on YouTube, which hopefully y'all are, and you see me looking down, I am looking at my computer because I have the questions right here in front of me. I'm not talented enough, I guess, to remember them off the top of my head, but that is what I'm looking at. So let's start with question number 1, which is, what are your biggest tips for growing on Instagram? Now, I know that growing on Instagram today is a lot harder than it was, several years ago when I started my page. And this question is one that I get asked all the time. I think that just with all the talented creators out there and just all of the, knowledge of, what can come of having a large social media following and how it can really increase your income and bring you so much value as a business owner. I think that it's just getting harder and harder simply because of that, because of the number of people trying to do it. But if I were to go back in time and start my page from zero today, these are the things that I would make sure that I was doing. So number 1, you want to stand out in the algorithm. And I think that right now, one of the ways that you can do that is by collaborating with other people. So creating those posts that are collaboration posts where you tag somebody else, and that is also going to show up on their feed as well. It's going to increase the visibility of whatever that piece of content is. It's basically getting it out there in front of 2 people's audiences instead of just one. And the more views, the more engagement that piece of content gets, the more likely it is to be pushed out into the algorithm, into the Explore feed, all the things, which ultimately is going to help you grow. Okay. Another thing that I would do is I would think about a series that you could create. So maybe 30 days of hairstyles would be a good one, where you show up for 30 reels and you are giving people, simple and easy hairstyles that they can create at home. That is just one idea. Obviously, you want to make sure that whatever this series is relating to, your specialty and your niche and your content pillars that you share. But I think that having people come back for, day 1 all the way through day 30, that's going to increase your views and your engagement, and again, push you out there into the algorithm and increase your chances of winding up on the Explore feed. The next thing that I would suggest doing is paying attention to your analytics. Now, this is something that I want to have a little disclaimer on, because I know that sometimes analytics can get you can become obsessed with them and you can really beat yourself up if something didn't perform well. And that is not what I want y'all to do at all. I more so want you to pay attention to the videos that did well, how long those videos were. Did you use text? Was it a voiceover? Did you use trending audio? Was it upbeat music or slower music? Was it instrumental or did it have words? Really, really, really breaking it down and getting granular on what that piece of content was and trying to create more pieces of content similar to this, because chances are, if your audience liked that video and if there's a pattern of the videos that your audience is drawn to, if you give them more of those videos, they're going to save them and share them and, repost them. They could even remix them on their page, whatever. And again, the algorithm loves this. We want to just be creating the most engaging content that we possibly can. And we aren't going to know what that looks like if we aren't paying attention to our analytics. I know that, there's a bunch of tips and tricks out there of people telling you if you do this, this, and this, you'll grow. But I think it all boils down to just consistency, the quality of content that you're posting, and just the power of knowledge about what does well on your page. Question number 2, do you recommend using geotags? And I kind of have a two-part answer here. Number one, I think of geotags as hashtags, kind of similarly at least. So geotags are going to help new eyeballs get on your content, which is what we ultimately want, right? And when I started building my page years ago, I would put geotags on like every other post, I think is what I did. And that way, I could rely solely on hashtags sometimes and then geotags sometimes and really find that balance of what worked for me. Now, I'm someone who lives in a small town, and so I didn't necessarily use geotags to build my clientele per se. I more so use geotags to get my content in front of people in other places of the world. But I do think if you live in a bigger city that has popular like hangout areas, that geotags could be really beneficial even to build your clientele. You just want to make sure that you are thinking about like where that person would be hanging out and tagging that area. Okay. Like if your client's not going to be hanging out at the mall, you probably don't want to be tagging the mall because that's attracting the wrong audience. So just getting specific and intentional with the geotags that you're using. But I definitely do think that they are beneficial no matter what your goal is. And part two of this question is I've actually been seeing that the algorithm is favoring content that is utilizing geotags. And so I'm about to take it back to my roots myself and start utilizing them on my page too, and just seeing if that helps me. Because right now my page is currently in like a state of just a standstill and it's not growing a ton. So maybe that's the secret that I need to do in order to like have it take off again. I'll keep y'all posted on that. Stay tuned. But I don't think there's anything at all wrong with using geotags. I don't think it can hurt you at all. I actually think it can help. One other thing I want to mention here, though, is I'm from a small town. So I don't have a bunch of like trendy hangout spots that my potential audience would be at. So what I would do if you are someone listening from a smaller area is think about a larger city that is closest to you and research what the trending spots are there and tag that area instead of ones in your hometown. Because for me personally, like 85% of my clients, I would say, drive from the Oklahoma City area to come and get their hair done by me. I don't do a ton of clients from where my salon is at. And maybe that does have something to do with the fact that I was geotagging like a crazy person all those years ago when I started posting on Instagram. Question number 3. What do you think is the best way to utilize pinned posts on your feed? So this is a great question, and this is something that I need to take note of as well. In a perfect world, your pinned posts are, for anyone who doesn't know, first of all, your pinned posts are, I think you can pin 3 at a time, but they are going to live at the top of your feed always. So if someone lands on your page, they are the first 3 pieces of content that person is going to see. You can have pinned posts on your feed as well as on your Reels tab. So there's like 2 opportunities here for you to get visibility on specific posts. Number 1, I would recommend having a pinned post that is about you. Maybe how you started in the industry, or what your specialty is, or, what sets you apart from all the other stylists out there. Something that is going to allow your audience to feel connected to you and to start to build that trust with you, because they see that, you're a real person and they know what you stand for. And, they feel like they got that little piece of you. Okay. The second thing I would recommend pinning at the top of your feed would be something relating to your services, or, an offer or a class that you're doing, something you're trying to promote. Right? So this could be how to book with me. This could be a video of your favorite hair colors that you have done on your clients, kind of like this little lookbook. This could be a post about how often to come and see you in the salon based off of what service they're getting. Just again, something that's going to continue to build that trust with the person looking at it and make them want to book an appointment or buy a ticket to your classes or purchase, an ebook you have, or whatever the case is. Okay. And then the third thing I would recommend is maybe like one of your top performing posts, because again, this is going to live at the top of your feed always. And so chances are people are going to click on it, whether it's an accident or on purpose. And it's just going to continue to build that already popular post and just increase the chances of it ending up on the Explore feed because it's gone, viral or whatever. You can also do these 3 things in your Reels tab, which is different than your feed tab on Instagram. For this, honestly, especially if you do on your feed, as I just said, like the personal post, the one about your services, and then like a viral video, you could honestly just take like your top 3 viral videos and pin those to the top of your Reels tab. This again is going to help with that, the chance of it going viral. It's going to increase the views, and ultimately, if that's what you're working toward is growing your following, then it's going to work out in your favor. So that's just my opinion. I don't know that there's any science behind that, but that is just what I personally would do. Question number 4. Should I be putting my hashtags in the comments or in the caption? Now, I have always been somebody who puts my hashtags in the caption. I have played around a couple of times with doing it in the comment section just to see if I saw any difference. And I always feel like my posts perform better when the hashtags are in the caption itself. Okay. So I just space down a couple of spaces and then I'll put them all right there with the caption. Okay. I think the reason that this does so much better is because whatever's in that caption is going to help with SEO. So search engine optimization, and that is what we want. Okay. I think that hashtags can still help you if you're putting them in the comments. Like if you're somebody who really doesn't like what it looks like for the hashtags to live underneath your caption, do what feels best to you, obviously, but it has been said and it has been proven by Instagram that your SEO is going to be so much higher and, get in front of more people if you're putting these hashtags in the caption. So again, just thinking about like what your goals are. I know right now there's a lot of opinions on hashtags in general. Do we need them? How many do we need? Like, what's the point? Are they dead? Whatever. I always am going to use hashtags. I think that it's just an easy way to increase your content to increase the chances of your content being seen by new people, which is what I want and what I'm assuming most of y'all want as well. I always am going to use them. I personally use 30. I know that people say not to do that, but why not? I just don't see the point in not taking full advantage of getting your content out there in front of new people. But I, at minimum, recommend using like at least 5 to 10 hashtags that are very specific to whatever the content is that you're posting. You don't want to just use random hashtags that, you feel will help you go viral, because that's actually probably going to hurt you more than help you. You want to get really specific with the ones that you're choosing and make sure that they are relating to whatever that photo or video is that you're sharing. And, this could be like industry hashtags, such as different brands of color that you used or products. This could be location hashtags to help increase the chances of people booking an appointment with you. This could be brand hashtags or just like technique hashtags. But again, just making sure that they are aligned with your content, with your goals, and just with you as a business owner in general. And question number 5, how do you plan your content? So this is something that has changed for me a lot over the years, just based off of, what I'm working toward, where I'm at in my business, where I'm at in my personal life. Really with just time, to tell you the truth. When I first started creating content, it was a lot different than what I do today. Back when I very first started, I would scroll through Instagram and TikTok and all the things for hours and hours, just like looking for inspiration. Then I would get out a pen and paper. I would write down all the videos that I saw, and I would write down little ways that I could make these videos like more custom to me. Little things I could add onto them, or how I could put my spin on what I'd seen. And I just had this running list of examples and just ideas to go off of. And I would spend a large majority of my day filming all of these videos, because back then the only thing that I was working toward was growing my following. So I had all the time in the world. Whereas now that my page has grown and now that I've added more things to my plate, it's not manageable for me to spend, number one, to spend all that time scrolling. And number two, I don't spend near as much time creating content now because I have so much content batched from the years prior. Okay, so it's going to look a little different for you, I'm assuming, in the beginning than it would, 5 or 6 years in where I'm at now. But what I do now is as I'm scrolling, if I have an idea come to my head or if I see something I like, I'll still save it. And then later on, when I'm ready to record, I can kind of like refresh my memory and look back through that if I want to. But for the most part now, I know the video I'm wanting to create, and I know the messaging that I'm wanting to get out there. And so it kind of just, I know this isn't a very helpful answer, but it kind of just comes natural to me at this point. Just like with anything else though, like practice makes perfect, and I don't have to spend so much time and energy in the creative mode because I'm used to it now. It's like second nature to me. And it will be second nature to you too, I promise, if you just keep going. The beginning is the hardest, but like a year or two down the road, you're going to be like, wow, this is so simple now. Like, I am so glad I kept it up, and it's not going to be near as time consuming. I promise. Like, I remember literally thinking at one point, this is not sustainable. Like, I cannot do this for the rest of my life. Like, my brain hurts. But just push through that to the best that you can, and eventually you'll be in the same position I'm in where you're like, okay, Samantha wasn't crazy. It is second nature to me. And, she was right. And that is the last question. So we have finally completed all of the questions that y'all submitted to me over the summer. I am sorry that it took me a little longer than I anticipated to get to these, but if I did not for some reason answer your question, then send me another DM. I tried to go back and find all of them, but I'm human. Maybe I made a mistake. I hope y'all enjoyed this episode, and I'll talk to you again next Monday. Okay, y'all, that's it for today's episode. Be sure to follow the show on whatever platform you're listening and leave a rating and review to show your support so we can continue growing together. If today's episode really resonated with you, you can always share it to your story, and be sure to tag me so I can personally thank you. I appreciate each and every one of you, and I'll talk to you again next week.